Right, good afternoon to you. It's Scott Picken here. I'm the CEO and founder of Migrate, and I've had a wonderful afternoon. Philip, thank you so much for your time. You've been in this area a long time and clearly have a huge amount of knowledge of what's going on. For me, there's two things that I really wanted to run through today. One was just to get an idea of what is happening here, specifically in the Frisco area, why there's so much growth, why people are moving here, why businesses are moving here. And then secondly, just to get an understanding of the type of opportunities you're bringing to the market to supply that demand. So just to get started, basically, in terms of this area, what is happening? I mean, you mentioned things here where there's $5 billion worth of development in 1 square mile. You know, Houston's number one, Dallas is number two for cost of living, 28% below national average. Talk us through a little bit of that. Why is everyone moving here? Why are all these massive headquarters moving to this area?
Well, there's several economic factors that we talked about today, but one of the main factors is, Texas has no state tax and no corporate tax. So with the political environment that we have right now, it's either move to Texas to escape the tax burden or move overseas. And everybody's pretty much electing to move to Texas. And we have what's called corporate headquarters here, just north of Frisco. And it's about 10 miles of land that's been deeded to these corporations to bring their businesses in. They're giving huge tax benefits and breaks and encouraging them to bring their business. So as we've discussed, we've had Toyota, they're building 2.1 million feet of their corporate headquarters, bringing 80% of their U.S. workforce here in their R&D department.
How many people is that roughly?
I think about 25,000 total. And they're bringing with them Lincoln benefit as well, and I think they're bringing about 18,000, so that's their financial arm.
Yep.
JP Morgan Chase is bringing their corporate headquarters here as well. They're building 1.2 million feet here currently. Fannie Mae is relocating here as well. FedEx, State Farm, Kubota. I mean, there's a list of about 80 companies that are currently relocating to this area. So we've had this tremendous boom, as we spoke about. You know, Frisco was 8,000 people 10 years ago. Now we're pushing 180,000. They're expecting another 150,000 next 24 to 36 months. So we're talking about, this one area here that has 1 mile and over $5 billion of development within that mile. That's the amount of growth. And they said that, Frisco, Texas, and Dubai are the two areas in the world with the most amount of growth right now in the whole world.
Well, which is very interesting because, you've taken me on today and showed me a huge amount. And right in that square mile, there's one development for $1.2 billion with Dubai money. There's another one for $780 million,
yes.
With Dubai money. You also mentioned to me that the Chinese investors, other than New York, this is the number one or the number two spot in America that they're investing now. Yes. And just to consider for people that do or don't know, $19 billion last year was invested from China into just residential products in America. So it's just, the scale is phenomenal. The commercial is probably around double that as well.
Sure.
And this is now becoming the number two spot.
Yeah, because of the amount of growth that we're seeing and all the business relocating here, we're seeing 20% year-over-year increases in pricing. Our inventory is down to less than 1 month now, so it's just creating these huge.
So sorry, just to put in perspective, and I want to just clarify that for everyone.
Sure.
So in America, they talk a lot about inventory and they talk about stock on the market, and it gives a good indication of supply and demand. The average for a sustainable market is about 6 months, and so when it's less than 1 month, it shows you how dramatic the demand is in comparison with the supply. And you were talking in the car around many of the factors that are putting constraints on supply, if nothing else, about utilities not being able to effectively service land quick enough. So
Correct. It's
not a case, Dr. Dolph DeRuis always talks a lot about how one of the most important things to be able to look for sustained long-term growth is population growth within an economy. And it's clearly happening here. You can see it all over. And the good news is that no matter what happens in economic trends, when big companies like Toyota have made a decision to move, they're coming.
Yes.
No matter what happens,
Yes. Yeah.
And so that, you said something to me in the car that I thought is also really, really important, is that a lot of the growth that was in California and Phoenix and Florida, massive supply coming into the market, a lot of people trying to make quick money, whereas here it's much more, the demand is a lot more sustainable because effectively you use the exact word, warm bodies. There's actually people that want to live in houses. We're not just relying on capital.
There's not enough product for the amount of people that are coming. We've got right at 7 million people in the Dallas-Fort Worth DFW Metroplex is what they call it, about 7 million right now, and the latest research has said that they're expecting to almost double that population within 15 years now.
Wow.
Within 15 years, you imagine
Just
7 million people.
Just explain to us this Metroplex, because it's a bit confusing for people that aren't from this area. But ultimately, you've got 3 cities that are kind of quite close to each other, in terms of my understanding. And ultimately, they're almost getting infilled. I mean, this whole area is becoming one massive metropolitan area.
Yeah, it's you can drive for 2 hours and still be in the Metroplex, but you just go from town to town, and that's what it's just a spreading metropolis, I guess you would say. And basically, it's just infilling the land, and they just keep pushing out further and further and further. So
now that brings me perfectly segue into my second part of it. And how long have you been developing and building homes? I mean, you mentioned that during the crash, you were literally helping some of the biggest funds and buying up properties on auction, rehabbing them, selling them onto the funds. You mentioned around 250 homes a month, which is phenomenal, actually.
Sure.
So you've clearly got a lot of experience in the market. You've clearly got a lot of experience in construction and rehabbing, because all these things are actually, it's all good and well to see an opportunity. It's another thing to actually deliver on the opportunity. Talk us just a little bit about your company and the type of offerings you bring to this market, because you're also in many different facets.
Sure. We have 2 different sides, distinct sides. We have the single family side, and within that product we've got production product that we build for sale. It's in the $200,000 range, you'd say, average price, some are lower, but that's base mark product that we sell to investors.
Yep.
And then we've got mid-range product, and then we've got high-end product on that side.
Are we allowed to talk about the owner of the house that we just went to see?
Sure, you can say it. Yeah.
So I mean, you took me to see this amazing house today, and it's about, I think you said about 7,000 square feet, which is plus minus 700 square meters. And I can't remember exactly who it was, but something to do with the Dallas Cowboys. You said it's just bought it.
The highest paid football player in the league now. He just got a contract for $205 million. We won't mention his name, but
Yeah. But I mean, that's pretty awesome. I mean, and to be fair to you and your team, the house is spectacular and the finishes are amazing. So anyway, I mean, it certainly gives me more confidence with guys like that and looking to be comfortable to invest.
Yeah. So on the production side, we build 40 to 50 homes at a time. The mid range, we've got 10, 15 at a time, and then the higher end, we've got probably 5 or 6 that we're doing at a time. So there's different types of product on there, but the most amount of production that we do is on the commercial side, and we talked about that at length. And we've got about 500 million currently in commercial construction going on, which we saw, I think, 6 different sites today. So we're the largest developer here in North Texas, and we have several products within that. We've got office product, medical product, dental product.
Just to put it in perspective, sorry for butting in, but just put it in perspective, when you say office product, it's for small to medium-sized businesses that need 3 to 4 offices. They want to be able to drive up, park outside their office. They don't want to go up 4 stories in a high-rise building. And ultimately, it's out in the suburbs, close to people's houses, but also close to this headquarters of where all the major businesses are, so that they can ultimately service a lot of those big businesses, etc., etc. So it's definitely a trend that is happening around the world, actually, as more and more people are going towards running their own businesses.
Yes, and having the turnkey product, that's a different animal with us, is we figured out that people do not want to build it themselves. So we've developed a system where we can replicate these products and give them different options without changing things too much, where we can do it quickly and efficiently and give them a lower price and develop the product much quicker.
Yeah.
So the demand is incredible here, and we're delivering as fast as we possibly can, but we've changed the market a little bit in delivering that turnkey product. That's what people want, is delivering turnkey product, and not many people are doing that out there right now.
So just to talk returns, my understanding is you've got people signing leases in the range of 3 to 5 years, and generally you're getting cap rates at around 8%. So particularly in the current day market, that's a very attractive return from a commercial perspective.
Sure.
But what I like about it as well is that you can buy a whole building that might have argumentatively 4 units to it that have already been condoed, which means if you wanted to, as an exit strategy, you could actually sell them off over time.
Yes.
So you get to benefit from both the income side of things and with multiple exit strategies on the other side.
And the big thing with our relationship is, as we spoke about, in dealing with the same people over and over, selling these products up front and having the relationship that we do, we're leaving a lot of meat on the bone where, as we spoke about this last development that we just looked at, we averaged out at $255 a foot that we sold that out, and these appraised at over $300 a foot immediately, not a year down the road or 2 years down the road. The day we were finished, it was $300 a foot, and we sold them at $255 a foot. I mean, we're giving them $50 a foot.
I'm going to joke with you, but I'm going to be your translator, so just so that people understand what you're talking about. So effectively, when you're saying 255, I'm not going to do all the conversions into square meters, etc., but just take it as a price of $255 a square foot. And when he says appraised, ultimately what they were doing is bringing the bank valuers in and effectively getting the valuations at over $300 a foot, which is argumentatively 15%, immediately,
So $50 a foot, let's say, and we've got a single, a unit that's 1,150 feet, we're talking about $60,000 that I've just given you and said, here, you've got $60,000 worth of equity from day one, plus 8%, or better return.
Yeah.
So,
and I think the last point I just want to say is you mentioned the word turnkey, and that's probably the most important part, is that you're providing an investment opportunity where people can invest. You're not, a lot of people will do it where they don't actually do the fit out. And so you can be living in Shanghai, South Africa or Sao Paulo, and now you've got to figure out how to put carpets in or talk to the tenant. Whereas in your case, it's all, literally, turnkey.
With the tenants waiting to come in and the management. So
well, I was about to say, including the management as well.
Yeah.
So for me, it's an end-to-end solution. And then from our side, we believe that obviously that we can have an ongoing relationship and then use the technology to manage that so that people have a hassle-free investment. So no, look, I'm super really impressed by what you guys are doing. I'm really impressed by you can see the growth in the market. The fundamentals make sense to me, and I think both myself and investors would be crazy if they didn't get into it. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to really kind of building the momentum and building a strong partnership here.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.